regardless of what people want to say is their religious practice or whatever, I find it interesting that people spend more time defending what is not to be quote unquote true, when religion and truth don't got to be defended. If you believe what you believe what you believe, and stand firm on it, right? But it's interesting how much effort is put into how we want to take someone like a Jesus Christ, who is internationally and galactically known, and deduce and bring down to just someone who may have orchestrated a technological advancement or something.
Even the Most High separates people very distinctly, and he says, do not make marriages with these people that actually look like you too. Right?
Wait, brother, wait, because I gotta, you know, I love where you're coming from on that, but I gotta come back and say with you, thank God we live by grace through faith.
When Jude mentions Enoch, he says what Enoch says. He never says as it is written, you know? So we're trying to say that these things were there or not there. I just need somebody to prove that.
Let me just say this. And I was kind of hesitant because I always want to make sure I'm respectful of boundaries that me and my husband have agreed on. I believe that we are descendants of the Israelites to the Bible. I believe the Bible is about us. So when you ask me what color I think Jesus is, I believe he would be a modern day Black man. I believe that from the Bible, there was a select group of people that were Israelites, but there are also other dark-skinned ethnicities of people. When we were coming out of Egypt, God warned us not to mix with certain people because of their spiritual practices. There are groups of people who we were not to marry our children with, who we were not to do business with because they worshiped other gods and had other religious practices, okay? Now, I also believe that the Bible is not for everyone, okay? And it says that. Some will hear and some will not, and that's okay too. My mission is never to beat somebody over the head. Plant a seed, water a seed, the Most High get the increase. But also, if the message isn't for that person, it's not for that person. That doesn't make me love them any less as an individual. I'm not going to treat you any different. I believe we're to live peaceably with all people as long as we possibly can. So I do worship Jesus as an ancestor. I worship my Israelite lineage as an ancestor, and I've learned from their mistakes. And quite often the mistakes that ended us up in slavery were worshiping other gods and following behind other customs.
So for me, because I was listening to what Pearl said, and so all right, so this book right here, Pearl, this my family lineage, right? And I could go from 1728, the enslavement and sale of my people from a breeding farm from Virginia to North Carolina, from Virginia to North Carolina. This is the actual receipts from that. If you can see it. From Virginia to North Carolina, the prices, like maybe I need to flip it around so you can see.
No, it's showing clear. It's showing clear. Bring it. Yeah, bring it.
So the applications for because they used to keep immaculate records, tax records, and all those things, and they go generation by generation with each specific generation until you get to me. I'll show you. Hold on. That's my father right there, Marvin. Until you get to me. So for me, I think like the title FBA for me is perfect because I'm to the 1700s, and as far back as I can go, the only thing I can find as a classification is Black, Negro, or colored. So we was indigenous, it's possible. Though we potentially could have came from Africa, it's possible. We are the Hebrews, like all of that to me makes sense because we so many different people that became one people coming out of that funnel of 1860. So everybody lineage or familiar history to me seems like it's very plausible because it would be different. We're not like one group of people that stayed in one landmass by ourselves without any other group integrating in. So when I look at that, it's that 1860 funnel. We come out of there and we become classified from Aboriginal, from whatever to Negro and color. And that's the only thing I care about. I'm as far back as I can go in written historic, you know, with the records. Now, if I get further and I find something else out, then yeah, I'll rep that. But that's why I say something like, I can't prove that I'm from Africa. I can't prove that I'm indigenous. Only thing I can prove is what I can prove at this point. And that's good enough for me.
Now, this is a great conversation because I always like being amongst people who have different perspectives. And since we're playing or, you know, giving feedback from the original video, I do think that it is extremely important that there is a definitive difference between us as normal people in the sense of the acknowledgement of whom you come from a biological, humanistic level. Perfect. I don't think that it's, you know, superstitious to understand that we were birthed from women. There was a connection at some point, and then it produced life. I think it's very dangerous when we try to take all humans and then we highlight, because you can correct me if I'm wrong, what makes one person's hue different, me being a chocolate man, and then maybe Pearl being a little bit on the lighter side, it's just pure melanin and biological tracing of mixing, right? And I don't know why we personally put so much emphasis into that, because that's not so much a spiritual theme, nor does it depict growth, talent, or any of those things. We all are humans on a level that at the food chain mammal level, we are at the top. But to compare one sacrifice on a level of like a Harriet Tubman and then a Jesus Christ, I think we need to be a little bit more careful when it comes to that. And mainly because regardless of what people want to say is their religious practice or whatever, I find it interesting that people spend more time defending what is not to be quote unquote true, when religion and truth don't got to be defended. If you believe what you believe and stand firm on it, right? But it's interesting how much effort is put into how we want to take someone like a Jesus Christ, who is internationally and galactically known, and deduce and bring down to just someone who may have orchestrated a technological advancement or something. For me, I take pause with that, because that can be dangerous. We have, I think Bo said it, we have a very fickle, weak perspective current day. And the convenience of even being able to have these open conversations current day, because at one point I think everybody knew how our survival was depicted from knowledge of spirituality and whom we really are. And I digress.
Can I just jump in real quick, because I'm like, I agree with what you're saying, True, that it's very dangerous to try to align the two. But I'm gonna take a stab at this, because I don't think people also understand that ancient Kemet teachings are very, very similar and very parallel to Jesus Christ. Even when you look down with the symbolism of the Ankh, they took out, now Christianity was Bible books have been removed from the original Bible that they don't talk about, that are talking about to the same thing of what Bohem was talking about, which is that spirituality. I mean, even in the Bible, they talk about utilizing crystals. They talk about utilizing frankincense and myrrh. They talk about those things because there is a spiritual connection that goes along with it. And it's not so far away from Christ himself, but it has everything to do with placing ourselves in a posture of Christianity, right? Christian, when you think of a Christian, it is a mindset, it is a lifestyle. It's not so much of a person, but it is a spirit essence that we embody and it is a Christ consciousness in which we're trying to embody, not so much of worshiping a person, but so much of trying to become the essence of that spirit is what it is. I think the parallel in the spirituality piece of it, because they're very much the same. So I'll stop there.
Go ahead.
So there's just a lot of things to keep it tall. I think what Miss Mona, how you say it? Miss Mono.
Miss Mono.
I'm wilding. Damn.
It's
My
Miss
fault.
Mono's World. Like, that's my handle, but I go by Miss Mono.
All right. Yeah. Damn, I did a terrible job. I apologize. Jesus Christ. So one thing she was pointing out, though, right? She was making that there's a stark contrast, right? The people that have that are Negroid that are not the same people, right? So the scripture disagrees with what you're saying, true, right? In Deuteronomy 7 specifically, it says, do not mate with these people at all, right? The Canaanites specifically, which was so-called black people as well, right? It says, thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God, right? Above all people on the face of the earth, right? So even the Most High separates people very distinctly. And he says, do not make marriages with these people that actually look like you too. Right. I
Wait,
think
brother,
that's
wait. Because I gotta, I love where you're coming from on that, but I gotta come back and say with you, thank God we live by grace through faith, because when Jesus came and he died on the cross, he took all that religious stuff, all of that when he
When
said
was the law done away with?
Hold on, you guys. I don't think
the
I'm
law,
finished. Let him
the
finish.
law
Let
was
him
done away
finish.
when he atoned. I'm sorry.
Can
Let
you
him
find
finish,
that in
though.
the Bible for me? Can you show me the
Hold on, Miss
scripture
Oh
World.
yeah,
that
yeah,
says
yeah.
that?
Miss
Yes.
World, April. Let him finish, please. Thank you.
Yeah. And then the claim about there were books removed. Which ones? Right. What council are you referring to? Who compiled the books that we have in the first place? Right. The first King James in 1911 had 80 books. Right. Martin Luther removed the Apocrypha from it. Right. When you actually compare Kemet to it, their gods are homosexuals. Right. If you look at the Book of the Dead, right, and spell 663, right, he copulated in his buttocks, Horus, right. We don't have homosexuality in the Bible, right? So when y'all make the claims, I just want to make sure that we are fully prepared to prove that, right? I think people often mention the Book of Enoch as an example, right? But the Book of Enoch is never mentioned. When Jude mentions Enoch, he says what Enoch says. He never says as it is written, you know? So we're trying to say that these things were there or not there. I just need somebody to prove that.